What is up, Solow Sportsers? I am here right above our US Open location to bring you the latest update to the Nike Vapor lineup, the Nike Air Zoom Vapor 12. Figure out why it's endorsed by Carlos Alcaraz and whether or not I'm going to endorse it going forward. Now, many of us know that the Nike Vapors have a long, beautiful, storied past, probably best known for being on Federer's foot all the way through parts of 2018, and now endorsed by Carlos Alcaraz, probably my favorite player to watch currently. This shoe is probably going to be closest in that we've gotten to going back to the Vapor 9.5 tours. So I feel like this shoe is super breathable, super lightweight, very soft upper. I also appreciate that they've brought back what was known as the adaptive lacing system. So when you cinch up the laces, it helps fold in for someone who maybe has a more narrow foot, but also can flare out for someone who has maybe a higher instep or a wider foot. So I think this shoe is great for players who either want a roomier fit or a more snug fit because of the flexibility of the upper of the shoe and that adaptive lacing system. So when you look at the outsole, you'll notice again, very similar to the previous like 9.5 tours, is that there's this middle section that's open and you just have the main treads on the forefoot and the heel. This definitely helps for those of us who are dumb enough to try to slide on hard courts. So you'll get good traction, but enough, but not so much that you'll get stuck and roll over yourself. I think you're going to start to see this more and more with shoes. Instead of having a full flat sole, you'll start seeing stuff like this where it's separated and where you'll have a modified herringbone sole, so you'll get good traction, but not too much traction that you'll trip over yourself. Additionally, for players here in the States, you'll probably appreciate a modified herringbone sole because it's much more easily adapted to multiple surfaces. Instead of feeling the need to buy a clay court shoe and a hard court shoe, I think something like this would work really well on either surface, both because it's lightweight and you don't need the extra cushioning when you move to a soft court. You'll get decent traction from this modified herringbone sole. And then on the hard courts, while you might want a little more cushioning, this shoe will have more than enough traction to give you all the things you need. When it comes to a premium shoe lineup, most companies will have anywhere from 2 to 4 shoes that range from lightweight, running-esque, breathable, minimalist sort of shoes, all the way to the other end of the spectrum that are more durable, supportive, cushioning for people who beat up on their shoes and those sorts of things. This shoe definitely falls on that first end of the spectrum. The Nike Vapor shoes have always been very lightweight, relatively low to the ground, not super substantive when it comes to their cushioning, but what they give up in cushioning, they make up for in being lightweight, breathable, easy on the foot, soft, all those things that we totally associate with all the top players on tour who are a little lighter on their feet, a little speedier. But granted, these players are getting new pairs of shoes every day, every tournament, every whatever. So they're not super worried about durability, whereas you might be. So it's always important when choosing a shoe that you're thinking about what are your needs as opposed to what are the needs of a professional player on tour. For the launch of this shoe, you'll notice they came out in a wide array of colors, including the always classic all black with a white swoosh and all white with a black swoosh. What I always like to see is which other colors they tend to launch first. I notice that if companies are a little more hesitant or they're not sure if the shoe is going to take off, they'll generally come out with like a blue, maybe a fun red would be as extreme as they went. In this, as you can see, Nike came out with this obnoxiously bright lime color, which they threw right onto Carlos's feet because he can get away with everything. I love playing around with funny colors as well, but probably not my favorite choice. I probably would have gone for the red myself. But I always love to see what colors companies choose to launch when they officially come out with a new model of a shoe. It definitely shows confidence when you're releasing a color like this. All in all, while this is one of my favorite shoes currently on the market, it might not be the first one that I recommend to most players, especially adults who are dealing with knee, hip, ankle, any sort of issues, as this is a very lightweight, running-esque, minimal support, minimal cushioning kind of shoe. So for those of you who love to speed around the court and think of yourself as a Carlos Alcaraz incarnate, this is definitely the one for you. But if you are suffering with any kind of knee, hip, ankle problems, I would probably choose something with a little more support and a little more cushioning. Well, that concludes our review of the Nike Air Zoom Vapor 12. Make sure you comment down below and let us know if you've tried these shoes. Do you agree with our assessment? Do you think these are very much in line with the Vapor 9.5 Tours, or at least as close as we're going to get? Let us know, and as always, we look forward to seeing you in the next video.